Good morning, hi, hello, or afternoon or evening, whatever it is for you when you watch this video. Um, okay, so today we're actually talking about shadow exploration. So often when our aura has some dark spots or could use some cleansing, we're feeling heavy, we're feeling stuck. It's because we have parts of ourselves that we are not fully expressing or allowing to be a part of us. For some reason or another, we've seen it as a negative thing and we've kind of tucked it away into the shadows. So I'm going to share my screen as always, and we'll jump right in and share. Perfect. Okay, so shadow exploration. We're um this is just exploration. So you can work on your shadow your whole life. Things will come up and you'll realize more and more things throughout your life. But just starting the process of exploring our shadow and understanding these different parts of us will really help us to clear our aura, to be able to not have some of those negative things come up. We talked earlier about identifying negative things in our lives and those feelings that you necessarily don't want all the time. And so if we have some of the things that bring up a negative feeling or trigger you, then you either need to avoid that thing, get rid of it. If it's a job or a person, stay away from it. But if there's something that triggers you that you're like, you know what? No, I don't actually want to avoid this. I don't think that's the healthiest way to deal with it. There might be something inside of me that is causing these negative emotions. You can take your own accountability on it. It's always good to do that first before you leave a job, before you leave a relationship, before you change up your media or whatever is bringing up that negativity. It's good to really explore your shadow and make sure that it's not something within you. For example, I actually had a job that I felt like, oh my gosh, I need to leave this job. It's so stressful, and the people I work with are critical, and I feel like they're constantly picking on me or judging the way I'm doing my work, and I'm clearly not good at this, so I should just quit. And I was ready to. I was making plans and everything. But by doing some of this shadow work, oh, and let me tell you, my aura was definitely dark and heavy. I was not a happy person. It made me depressed and just uneasy. I was constantly complaining about my job. I was unhappy with my life because I knew I needed something else, but I couldn't figure out how to pay the bills with something else. And so, um, yeah, like my aura was definitely needing in need of some cleansing. And so I ended up doing some shadow work and really working through some of those feelings and why I was getting triggered and why I was feeling these negative feelings. And I ended up staying for quite a while, and it turned into be a really beautiful job where I learned a lot about myself, a lot about the industry. I met amazing people afterward. So I ended up not leaving my job. So digging into the shadow really does help clear your aura, really does help your life be more vibrant, and having an understanding and an awareness of who we are and why we feel different things is huge. So that being said, this is why we do shadow work or shadow exploration. So what is the shadow? I've made these slides, so I am going to kind of read them just so I don't miss any parts. And I'm having allergies. Sorry if I keep on like sniffling, but okay, what is the shadow? The shadow self is a coin or is a term that was initially coined by psychiatrist and psychoanalyst Carl Jung. And I love his work. Great person to read any of his books and studies if you're interested in further reading. But the shadow self is an aspect of you that is composed of all the parts of yourself that you reject. So the shadow is things that we're just like, nope, that's not me. Like, I am not selfish. I am not let's see, what's the word I'm looking for? Jealous. I'm not a jealous person. I'm not a selfish person. Things like that. You're like, nope, that's not me. I know other people like that, but that's not me. Usually we have that part that we've rejected. We actually do have a part of. So look at it as like a storage closet in your home where you shove all the things you don't want to look at. You don't want others to see, and you just pretend it's not there. But the door is wide open. And so it's oozing into your home, whether you ignore it or not. So that closet is just chock full of things, and they're just like falling out. But you're just like, nope, go back in there. That's not me. That's not mine. I don't have all that crap. Hide it in the closet. So even though we hide it and we stuff it away and say it's not ours, our shadow self is actually being expressed into our physical reality, projected outward, whether we can see it or not. So whether we close that door on the closet or it's wide open, people can see it. So we can easily see other people's shadows, but we can hardly see our own without awareness, without doing this work. So, we can see someone else and say, like I said earlier, oh, that person is really jealous. Like they just are jealous about everything or envious or whatever. But really, we are too. So how does the shadow show up? So the shadow lives deep in our subconscious brain, subconscious mind, and it's not easily seen by ourselves. It's always being projected outward, since we cannot actually hide anything, even if our even if our ego thinks we can, it just puts up that illusion that we're hiding it. And energy cannot be hidden. It shows up in our aura. So that's when we have those dark spots. That's when we feel heavy and we have that kind of heavy aura around us. Sorry, it's loud. My kids are just coming in. I can hear them. But I'm in my office with the door closed. Okay, and then our shadow shows up in our limiting beliefs, envy or jealousy towards others, any of our acting out at others, short fuses with loved ones, when we play the victim, blaming ourselves, and that's my cute Boston. But they know when I'm recording, don't bug mom. Okay, sorry. I'm going to start over. So it shows up, our shadow shows up as limiting beliefs, envy and jealousy, acting out at others, short fuses with our loved ones, playing the victim, blaming ourselves or others, unconscious biases and prejudices, and things that just bother us or trigger us. Okay. So anytime basically we have that negative feeling, that's something that we're like, I don't really like how this feels, that's usually our shadow coming to the surface. So things that are negative emotion. As we grow into adulthood, we feel unworthy and not good enough to be our true selves. We suppress negative emotions. So when we suppress them, they actually do come back and manifest as lashing out later. Or we become extremely self-critical, which manifests as pointing out or being triggered by other people's flaws. We judge ourselves, which manifests as judging others. We place rules on ourselves and according to societal norms and standards, which manifests in placing rules on other people as well. And we don't love ourselves, which manifests in having a hard time loving others or letting others love us. And then inner child healing is very helpful in this. So anytime that you kind of look back at your child, and we probably didn't suppress our negative emotions when we were a child. We probably weren't very self-critical when we were a child, or we didn't place rules on ourselves. We didn't, we definitely loved ourselves. We were just open and free. And as we grow up and we see what's normal and what gets us love and what gets us punishment, or what gets us attention and what gets us not attention, like how we get left out, things like that. Those are the things that we then shift and change, and we start hiding our emotions, and we start being really critical on ourselves and saying, okay, I can't do that or I won't get love. So that means other people can't do that. That's not okay to do. We judge ourselves, we put rules on ourselves in order to fit in and to get love and to survive in this world that we were brought into. So that's how the shadow kind of shows up. That's how the shadow is created, is by all of that programming and societal norms that we start noticing as a child, and we start shifting and changing ourselves to fit into. So hopefully that makes sense. If none of this makes sense, or if something doesn't quite make sense, or you have a question, feel free to message me. I love that about this class. Every month I get new people, and my favorite thing is getting to know them and getting some of these questions from you guys. So please reach out if you have any questions on this. Okay, so I've got a few quotes that I'll read. This one's by Carl Jung, the one that I said coined the shadow self term. So everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it gets. The denser it is. At all counts, it forms an unconscious snag, thwarting our most well-meant intention. And unless you learn to face your shadows, you will continue to see them in others, because the world outside you is only a reflection of the world inside of you. So basically what that means to me is, if you notice something in others, whether you admire it or hate it, you have to have it within you. You have to know that thing to be able to recognize it in someone else. So everyone around us is just mirrors. If you hate someone, you hate something in them, that is a part of yourself. What isn't a part of us doesn't disturb us. And until we have met the monsters in ourselves, we will keep trying to slay them in the outer world. For all darkness in the world stems from darkness in the heart, and it is there we must do our work. Inner work, which you guys are doing. So I'm so proud of you guys. Thank you. As we do our inner work and we start integrating and recognizing our own shadow, we actually shift the consciousness of everyone around us, and the energy that we're putting out then affects the energy of the people around us, which then ripples out into the world. So as we all do this work to better ourselves and heal the parts within us, we really are making the world a better place. So thank you. Okay, so how do we integrate the shadow, right? So now you understand what the shadow is. How do you integrate it? So just like our ego, we're stuck with our shadows the rest of our lives. You really cannot be done with shadow work, because stuff comes up the rest of your life. You will always have those shadows. But the key is to be in partnership with all aspects of ourselves. So recognizing that we have that, and then being in partnership with it and using it for good, and loving and accepting. So like the next line, radical self-acceptance is the key to integrating the shadow. Just accepting it, just being like, you know what? I can be pretty jealous sometimes, or you know what? I can be very angry sometimes. I'm not perfect either. That radical acceptance really does help integrate the shadow, so it doesn't bubble up to the surface. Bringing wholeness into our lives where we just are, not good, not bad, we just are. So we stop labeling things as, like, I keep using the jealousy just because it's a good example, but who said that jealousy, being a jealous person, is bad? Just not labeling things about yourself and not deciding whether it's good or bad. Just be who we are, and integrate that as a whole. I'm not, or that I can be happy and I can be sad. I can be extremely giving, but I can also be extremely selfish, and it's okay. So, loving every single part of ourselves, even if that part of us isn't accepted by others, because guess what? It's not theirs to love anyway. So just loving that part of us, even if maybe your parents have always kind of said, no, you can't do that, you can't be that, or a friend or whatever, It's not theirs to love. It's yours to love. And when we can really love ourselves and all the parts of ourselves, then we're doing the real work. We are no longer expending energy trying to hide. So we have more energy for our aura to glow. So it's crazy how we spend so much energy, even though it's not conscious, it's, at a subconscious level, we spend so much energy hiding. And once we can really just accept who we are and just have that radical self-love of every little bit and part of us, then we have more energy for our aura to really glow and affect and serve and heal other people and ourselves. Okay, so your homework for today is we're going to walk you through a few questions that help you integrate this shadow. So there's a lot of questions in there. Make sure you take the time to really answer them. It's by answering the hard questions that we really get to know ourselves, and we can heal. And then even after you finish the homework assignment, I want you to just keep this shadow exploration in mind. The rest of your life, really not focus, but anytime you kind of get triggered or you have that negative emotion come up, I want you to ask yourself, what is unhealed within me that is causing me to react or feel or think this way? Okay, so anytime one of those feelings that you don't really want to feel, so anger, frustration, heaviness, anytime something comes up, we ask ourselves, what is unhealed within me that's causing me to feel or think or react this way? Instead of just always pushing it onto someone else, it's their fault, it's their fault, it's their fault. Like, let's take that accountability and be like, what am I doing? Or what is unhealed within me? And then really just awareness of what the shadow is, and awareness of our own shadows. It actually helps integrate 90% of that shadow. So awareness really is the key. Looking at yourself, really thinking through what is unhealed, that will integrate this shadow 90%. And then the last 10% is just shifting your energy and perspective around it. And I feel like I definitely was able to do that with my job. I was like, okay, I'm triggered by when they criticize the work that I've done. Now, what is unhealed within me? So I looked at it and I was like, okay, you know what? I was the youngest and I never seemed to do things right. Everyone was always knew better than me. And so it wasn't until I learned to do things right that I got love. So it makes me feel very unloved and not good enough when they criticize my work. But really, when I look at it, the work that they were criticizing, they weren't criticizing me. They were just saying, okay, look, can you shift this? Can you do this a little different? Because they want to, have the best product out there. That's their job, is to make sure things are done right. So me being able to not take that on as a personal thing and realizing that, okay, I just, for some reason, really need to feel good enough, and my work is what makes me feel valued. I was able, just having that awareness was really huge in helping me like my job more. And then I was able to shift my energy and perspective around it by also looking at, and what shadows do they have that helps, it's causing them to act this way too. And so it really puts us on a level playing field of like, you know what, I have some things that I'm that are unhealed because of my childhood, and I'm working to heal those. My boss has, the same thing, and we're just manifesting and projecting them differently. But really, it all comes down to, we just want to do our best. We just want to be loved and accepted. And having that awareness was huge and made it such a much better job. So, okay. And then we can do that in all types of in our lives. What is unhealed within me? Okay. So I'm moving on, letting you go. this is your homework. Print this page so that you can really ask, or I guess just refer back to your phone or computer and answer these questions in your journal. There's 2 pages worth, as you see, I changed them. So there's a lot of questions. So work through it. It might take you a day or two to, work through these questions. And if you don't have an answer to something, come back to it later. Don't sit and stew on it. Just answer that first gut reaction and write as much as you possibly can, whatever keeps coming up, whether it's like 3 sentences or 3 pages, keep writing until you feel complete with that answer, and then move on to the next one. But like I said, if nothing's coming up and you're just like, I don't know, sit with it for a couple days, move on to some different questions, or come back to this later the next day or later in the day, and then answer and see if the answers come up. Okay, that's it. Definitely make sure you take the time to do this homework. I really feel that shadow work is huge and one of the most important parts of cleansing your aura, because we can do the cleanses, we can use stones and crystals and oils and the cleansing bath and meditations and breath work. We can do all of these things, but if we don't get to the root of the problem, then it's just going to keep coming back up. So this is huge and it's very important. So please make sure you do this and take the time to really work and explore your shadow. All right, we'll see you guys later.